Hi there, girls. So what I'm showing you on the screen is my table runner that I have been working on. And you're going to see that at the bottom of my design, so far I've got 2 of the tiles that are showing, and then I embroidered another little border trim along the bottom of there. You're going to be able to see on that I actually didn't have enough fabric to get my whole piece of fabric into the embroidery hoop. And so I had to come up with a solution to make sure that my design that I had chosen was actually going to fit on that piece of fabric. So I did print a template out, and because that part of the design is already completed, I'm just going to show you where I'm working now. So I've got my new design hooped, and on this end of the fabric I've got plenty of fabric to get my whole piece of fabric into the hoop properly and everything. I did set my template, which is positioned 1 1/4 inches away from the adjacent design. That was the spacing that I was using on my project in between each one of the embroidered tiles. And so what I did when I was trying to do the other end where I knew I didn't have enough fabric was that I not only printed that template, but over in my Horizon Link Sweep software program, I moved that design all the way up to the top of the hoop. And that was because I wanted to be able to use the plastic grid and in conjunction with my hoop to make sure that that design was going to fit on that piece of fabric. And so what I was trying to do was I was estimating, how many grid marks I needed to have so that my fabric was going to fit in the hoop, and where I was going to position my fabric in the hoop so that this was going to all fit. I hope that that is making sense. All right, but where I came into a complication, and I think this is something that I knew a long time ago, but somehow I must have forgotten, was that I sent the design over to my machine, and where I'm moving my camera to now is actually what you see on the screen. This is in the Ready to Sew screen. That is the design that was moved all the way up to the top of the hoop in Horizon Link Suite. I'm going to open this edit mode of my machine up so that you can see where I'm talking about here. I just want you to verify that when you've sent a design over from the machine, over from the computer into your machine, and if you have manipulated that design at all, like I did here, where it is at the top of the hoop, this is the funny thing that's going to happen, okay? I'm going to send this back to the Ready to Sew. It's ready to sew right now. The design looks like it's centered in the hoop according to the screen, correct? You all know that your needle is always going to come up in the middle of the design. So what you see on my fabric right now is this is really where I want this design to stitch out, because I've got plenty of fabric, like I said before, to hoop this out. I positioned my design template exactly where I wanted it, with the spacing like I wanted it in between these 2 designs. And I did a really good job with my cloth setter, and my needle is dropping down right in the center of that design. So I know that I've got a really good placement according to my template that's on my fabric. But I moved that design, remember? I moved it to the top of the hoop. But this is still showing me that the center of the design is right here. I'm going to now show you where this design would actually stitch out if I left it like it is. So I'm turning on our basting feature, and I'm going to show you where the bottom right-hand corner of this design would actually fall. My machine is moving, the needle is moving. Bottom right-hand corner would fall right there. I'm moving it to the upper right-hand corner, would fall right there. And obviously that is not where I would want my design to stitch, correct? So the reason that I'm showing you this video is that if you ever come across this issue where you have moved the design in the hoop in the Horizon Link program or in the edit mode of our machine, this is what's going to happen to it. It's going to actually show that the needle is in the middle of our hoop, but it's not the middle of the design. So you are going to probably come up against this someday if you haven't already, and that's the purpose of this video. Unfortunately, I did not make this video when I was doing it on that short end of the fabric, but I hope that this is making sense to you, because it is an important thing, and it can also keep people from making some really bad boo-boos. All right, what I'm going to talk to you about next is about the basting box. So, you know, if I use the basting feature on the sewing machine, and if I just wanted to do the one box all the way around, I have it selected right now, and it is ready actually to be embroidered on here. I'm going to go ahead and remove my template, and I'm going to stitch that basting box. And what I'm hoping is going to happen is that when the basting box is stitching, that stitching line is going to fall right along my blue marked line on my fabric, because that's the bottom edge of my design. All right, so let's go ahead and sew this. I hope that it embroiders okay. Oh, I don't want to do that, do I? I don't, because, haha, remember I moved my design. Silly, silly me. Let's close this. Let's get the design where we really want it. Good thing I caught that, huh? I'm going to go back to home. Let's go to the edit mode. My design is up on the screen, and this time I'm just going to center it back in the hoop, because that is where my design is and my design template are at. Don't you love it when the teacher forgets and makes a mistake? All right, so the screen looks exactly like it did before, which is a good thing. Let's try the basting once again. Basting's turned on, and let's go ahead and sew. All right, and it's doing exactly what I wanted it to do, so that I could show you this next part of this little video, and one of the problems that also sometimes occurs with basting boxes on our embroidery designs. So the thread's going to cut, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to turn the light on my machine, and hopefully that helps this show up a little bit better. All right, do you see where the basting box stitched? And do you see where my design line is at? There's a difference here of about, I'm going to say it's about 1/4 of an inch. This is where I really want the bottom of my design to be, but this is where the basting box stitched. So in this case right here, this basting box did not give me what I really would have wanted from it, which is that I would have wanted it to show me where the outside of my design was going to be. Okay, so what my solution is for this, you know, typically your basting box is going to be pretty accurate, and it will fall right on the outside edge of your design, but sometimes it doesn't. So what I do with my designs, because I can do this in my software program, one of the things that I can do is I can add in my own basting box, and you're going to see this on the screen where this black line is actually at. So I digitize that, and I digitize it so that it's right on the edge of my design. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually stitch this one out. So I did the pre-made basting. Now I'm going to do the digitized basting. And let's see where it stitches at. So the right edge looks pretty good. Bottom edge is falling right along that drawn line on my fabric. See that? All right. So that was the difference between my homemade basting box and the one that came out in the basting feature of the machine. The one that I digitized obviously is going to be exactly where I wanted it to be. And anyway, so for those of you that have never made your own basting boxes, that might be one of the reasons you might want to start doing it. So what I've covered in this little video is I was showing you how whenever you have moved a design in the embroidery Horizon Link Suite program or in the edit mode of the machine, how it's actually not going to show you the actual center of the design. It's going to show you the center of the hoop. And the other thing that I showed you is how a basting box can sometimes fool you into thinking that you've got your design where you want it. So you might want to learn how to make your own basting boxes that fit right around the edge of your design. Okay, ladies, that's a 10-minute video. I thought I was only going to talk for 5. So I hope it was helpful. And like I said earlier, if you haven't come up with this problem yet, you will someday. So store this one in your box of tricks. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.